Hey, everybody. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new here. And thank you so much for joining me today. We'll be using the Soul's Journey lesson cards by James Van Praagh. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. To get our topic for today. Happy Wednesday. And if you're in the United States, we're coming up on a holiday weekend. Hope you get an extra day off. God knows we all deserve one, right? We have trust. I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. And this actually is very in line with what we talked about yesterday, because what happens as we start to develop new habits, new behaviors, we start seeing new outcomes, we develop a deeper trust with ourselves and with the universe. And that trust is essential to not trying to force outcomes. And we don't realize when we're trying to force an outcome, we're kind of messing with what's meant for us. What's meant for you will not pass you by. And when you try to force something, you usually end up ruining it in one way, shape, or form because you are too committed to the outcome to pay attention to whether or not it's right for you. And how many times have you seen this happen where someone is dead set on a certain individual, right? And so they chase, they overgive, they manipulate, they just completely lose themselves trying to win this person over. And that flood of energy from someone else screams neediness, just it's like having a vacuum following you around. Nobody is attracted to that. And if they are, they need to work on themselves. I don't know anyone who's attracted to that. You want a whole person that you can connect with as a whole person so you can share your lives together, not merge into one being because the other person is sucking so hard that they're attached to you. Interdependence. And by going into that shadow side, that subconscious, and finding your wounds and finding out like your emotional triggers, self mastery, when we are able to trust that what is meant for us will not pass us by, we don't attach to outcomes. We don't attach to things. Attachment is what sets us up for disappointment and heartache and acting like idiots in the moment of an emotional trigger, you know, and not being able to manage our emotions because we are at their mercy. Emotions are not, we don't have to own them. We don't have to become them. We don't have to give in to them. They're a guide to let us know like something's not right. If you notice anger, where was your boundary crossed? Where is that anger coming from? Generally, it's because someone crossed a boundary with you, and rather than just blowing up at them, pause and step back. Trust yourself in the moment to manage yourself well enough to not react out of emotion. Back it down, take some deep breaths, respond, give an intelligent response. And it can be something like, I'm not available for that type of treatment. I've asked you before not to do that. And then remove yourself. Trust yourself to not be so attached to any situation that you're going to accept less than you deserve, whether it be treatment, pay, attitude. When you trust yourself to not allow disrespect, you don't hesitate to move on. Even someone close to me, uh, their boss had been just a complete douchebag for a year and a half. And they've tried, and they've tried, and they've tried. And it finally reached a point, and we're talking about a career. They're not working at McDonald's. They're making a very good salary. They have really invested in this career path, in this company, in this whole, like it's not a small move. But when that moment came, when enough was enough, this person trusted themselves to say, you know what? I'm not available for this. And now, because of that trust and the peace that the idea of respecting themselves came from, And that's what happens. When we choose ourselves, there is such a sense of peace that comes from that, and not selling out because of our attachment to a situation. When you sell out for an attachment, you dishonor yourself, and people feel that, and you invite more dishonor into your life. Disrespect, maltreatment. When you tolerate it, you accept it. And that's where this trust that I'm better than that and I'm not accepting less than I deserve. When you have that, and that's from becoming that whole, authentic person, going through the shadow side, going through the subconscious, getting rid of the old beliefs, pulling back the parts of you that you suppressed because you thought you needed to for love, and setting healthy boundaries. Boundaries are what make things work. If you don't have boundaries, you're not going to be able to reach the level that you want to reach in life, whatever area it is: finances, relationships, employment, even friendship, any area of life. You're going to fall short because you don't have boundaries. When you don't have boundaries, you end up in an emotionally crazy environment because there's no controls, there's no rules about how you're going to be treated. And that goes back to how you treat yourself. How you treat yourself is what teaches others about what you'll accept. And so, like I was giving the example of the person close to me, she knows her worth, and she was done accepting less. She had thought that, okay, maybe just it's going to take some time, whatever. And she was miserable. And she's like, you know what? I don't have to do that to make money. I have too much skill, ability. I have a proven track record. Screw you, up yours. Take this job and shove it. I'm out. Well, and now she's in a very good position of negotiation, not only with the company, because they don't want to lose her, because they know her value too. And she had the balls to stand up for it because she trusts herself. And when you develop that level of trust, you have the courage to stand up for yourself and not allow less than what you deserve. You also have the ability to express yourself authentically because you know who you are, and you're not so attached to wanting to impress people or wanting to. Your validation is not coming from out there, it's coming from in here. So you don't worry. And you know that as long as I'm operating in my authenticity, maintaining my boundaries, and presenting in a place of love, things are going to come together. What's meant for me will not pass me by. I'm not attached to anything because if it's mine, it's mine. If it's not, then I'm not supposed to have it anyway. And there's something else that I need to find. So again, the trust factor is huge in authenticity, in being able to have the courage to do the things you desire. So look at areas of your life where you feel like there's not enough trust, whether it's with yourself, with another individual. Um, Generally speaking, if we distrust others, it's because we don't trust ourselves. If you're afraid that someone's doing something wrong to you, it's because you're attached to an outcome and you don't trust yourself to respect yourself enough to walk away or tell them no or enforce your boundary. And until you establish that trust within yourself, it's going to be an issue in any situation, whether it's your job or in a relationship, how you deal with money. It, when you trust yourself to not accept less and you prove that you are going to stand up for you, life's a lot easier. You don't worry so much about what's going on around you because you know that you're going to maintain what you need to maintain. You're not going to let yourself down. Rule number one, at the end of the day, never leave yourself hanging. Be your own best backup. So I hope this helps. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will talk to you soon.